first military coup in the history of Nigeria that brought General Agunye Ironsi to power as the first military head of state. Stay tuned. Nigeria first coup d'etat. On the morning of January 15, 1966, the nation woke up to the frightening news that Prime Minister Balewa was missing. He was later found dead. The Saduna of Sokoto and Premier of the North Region, Alhaji Sir Ahmadu Bello, 1910 to 1966. Premier of the Western Region, Chief Samuel Ladoke Akintola, 1910 to 1966. Minister of Finance, Chief Festus Samuel Kotie Ebo, 1919 to 1966, and a host of others, including senior and junior military officers, had been killed in the military program and post. Agunye Ironsi was also targeted, but he outmaneuvered the boys, rounded them up, and took official control of the country. Of the five majors, four were Easterners, while one, Adewale Ademoyega, was a Westerner. The new head of state, having dissolved the civilian government, was an Easterner. These events raised tension among the Northern allies, especially in the army, that the Easterners were behind the coup, as the major of the coup plotters were Easterners, while the majority of the casualties were Northerners. In a bid of cruel contention in the army, Ironsi made Gowon, the most senior Northern officer alive, his chief of army staff. But the coup, as the coup plotters demonstrated, was a revolutionary one to get rid of corrupt politicians and officers in the country. But how was the coup revolutionary when defenseless men were killed? Brigadier Samuel Ademulegun, 1923 to 1966, the officer in charge of Kaduna Garrison, was shot dead in bed with his pregnant wife. Ahmadu Bello was also killed with one of his wives. Agunye Ironsi's mistake. Whether the coup was Eastern favored or not, it brought into a four united northern region of the army regardless of tribe or religion. The Decree number 34 of May 24, 1966, promulgated by Ironsi, was the beginning of the end of him. The decree made the center strong, thereby abolishing the powers granted to the regions. Interestingly, Ezeogu, in an interview he granted in 1967, affirmed that Ironsi shot himself in the foot with that decree. Another mistake Ironsi did was the non-trial of the coup plotters of the January 15, 1966 carnage. This caused massive unrest in the northern part of the country, as the Northerners had gone against the delimiting of the regional powers for far back in 1959. In June 1966, Ironsi began a tour of the country, never to return to Lagos, and met with the Northern elites, assuring them of the united Nigeria. Then July 29, 1966, Northern counter-coup. On July 28, 1966, Agunye Ironsi was ousted by the military governor of the Western Region, Lieutenant Colonel Francis Adekunle Fajuyi, at the government house, Agodi Ibadan, as he made to leave for Lagos. Fajuyi coerced him into spending the night with him. In the early hours of July 29, 1966, Northern soldiers led by Major Theophilus Y. Danjuma came to arrest Ironsi and question him about his alleged complicity in the coup, which saw the demise of the Saduna of Sokoto, Ahmadu Bello, and Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa. Agunye Ironsi answered Danjuma in the negative and denied playing any part in the coup. Eventually, the soldiers overpowered the head of state and Fajuyi violently stripping off their epaulettes. They were also beaten while dragged along the secluded area in Lapopo, along Iwo Road near Ibadan, where their bodies were riddled with bullets. The murderers then buried them in shallow graves. For 3 days, the country had no leader, and the most senior northern officer in the case, Gowon, in the army, was chosen to the head and become the head of state. Gowon's ascension in the bloody civil war. One major fact that favored Gowon as Agunyi's Ironsi's successor, apart from being the most senior northern officer in the army, is that he was a Christian from a northern minority tribe. Yakubu Gowon is a Ngas from Ulo, of a small village in present-day Kanke local government area of Plateau State. In his maiden broadcast to the nation, he promised to stop further bloodshed and to restore law, order, and confidence in all parts of the country. But the civil war which happened thereafter, claimed more than 1 million Nigerians, including innocent Biafran children and artisans, turned soldiers overnight who were ill-trained, in reference to what happened in the 1964 Asaba massacre. Gowon's role was to keep the nation as one by creating 12 states. On May 30, 1969, infuriated some Southerners who had hoped to break away from the country. This escalated proceedings in the eastern part of the country in Biafra was formed. The secession sparked reaction from the federal military government headed by Gowon, and many lives were lost in a bloody civil war that lasted from July 6, 1967 to January 5, 1970, a period of 30 months. Stay tuned, guys, for the real video of how Agunyi Ironsi was overthrown and assassinated. One love, stay blessed, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to share with your friends, and God bless you.